Well, this is Steve Ridgel, and I want to remind you of three phrases you ought to be using a lot, three things you ought to talk about a lot during the Christmas season. And the first one's thank you. Now, some of you are thinking, oh, bless his heart, he's old and he's lost his mind because all the thank you phrase was during Thanksgiving. That's 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I know that. But I also know that we need to say thank you at Christmas because there are people that put in a lot of work. One is you ought to be thankful for the gifts. I don't care if it's a gift card. Somebody made the effort to think about you and get you something. And for the thoughtful gifts, you really say thank you. But you also say thank you because there's somebody that fixes all the meals. There's somebody that cleans up after meals. There's somebody that buys the meal. Say thank you to people. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Thank you for taking care of this. Thank you for opening your home. Thank you for driving in to be with us. Thank you for taking the time to. We need to say thank you a lot at Christmas because there are a lot of people who are stressed and it's hectic and they make time anyhow and they do for you anyhow. And they do it because they want to. Sometimes they do it out of a sense of duty, but it never hurts to say, thank you. And if somebody does thank you for something you did, maybe the response is, well, another phrase we ought to use a lot at Christmas. I love you. I do this because I love you. I do this because I love our family. You're welcome because I love you. We need to tell people we love them. When you give the gift, I love you. When people come to see you, I love you. When they get ready to leave, I love you. I'm one of those guys that's a big believer in telling people you love them anyhow. I just kind of blurt that out all the time, and that's okay. I'd rather somebody hear way too many times, I love them, than not hear it enough. And let's be honest, in the world we live in, some of the people you're doing Christmas with, this will be your last Christmas. Now, sometimes it's because they're old like me, and you think, okay, maybe he won't get around the sun another year. I get all that. But maybe it's somebody that's going to get sick or have a car wreck, or you just don't know what's going to happen. And so I tell people a lot, I love you. So thank you, I love you. And thinking about that leads to the third thing we ought to be saying a lot. Jesus. Oh, yeah, I know. The away in the manger, and Jesus is the reason for the season, and no, I don't mean the trite, flippant things everybody just kind of throws out there and the Christmas songs instead of realizing they're Jesus songs. We ought to be talking about Jesus all the time. I like Christmas when they say, okay, let's talk about Jesus because, it's Christmas. I just like families that just talk about Jesus. I think you ought to be saying, here's why we're going to church Christmas Day because guess what? Christmas is on Sunday this year. What a great gift to give somebody to go to church. We'll talk about that more in other videos, but I'm just telling you, talk about Jesus this year. Tell people why Jesus matters to you. If you want to use the Jesus is the reason for the season, which I know is kind of trite, ought to be the reason all the time, I think. But, if you want to say that, then tell them why he's the reason. Not just baby Jesus was born, but baby Jesus came into this world to grow up and die on a cross for our sins. Boy, that's the great message of Christmas. I do this for you because, well, Jesus did a lot for me. I open my home because Jesus opened his heart. I fix this meal because Jesus gave to us. We need to be doing those things. So this is the year to say these kind of things. Thank you. I love you. And Jesus. I hope you have a great Christmas and thank you for listening. I love you. And Jesus really does matter.